Welcome to Business Connection. I'm Liz Spencer. We have a wonderful guest in studio today. It's Jim Slowik. He's Chief Strategist with my college planning team. Jim, welcome.
Thanks, Liz.
Tell me a little bit about your company. What do you do?
Well, my college planning team is, of course, located here in Naperville, and what we do is we work with families to help them prepare and navigate the college planning process. We work with them really from both sides, from finding that right fit school from an academic perspective, as well as working with the family from a financial perspective to not only make sure that they can maximize their aid and lower their out-of-pocket costs, but also work with them on how they're going to actually be able to afford college.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the college landscaping out there. You know, what's it looking at now? I mean, we hear huge price tags. We all have a little trepidation when our kid enters high school. So what's it like out there? What should we know?
Well, right now, and most people are aware of this, really the cost of college has gone up significantly over the last 20 or 25 years. College, when we went to school, was a place that you could actually go and explore for a year or two, and it wouldn't cost you that much money.
Right.
Now, families have to be prepared to choose the right school. Up to 33%, about a third of students that actually go away to college will actually transfer schools because they didn't find the right college. And the reality is that with the costs as high as they are now for 4 years, it can be very expensive if you have to go more than 4 years to school. In fact, the average student now graduates or gets a 4-year degree in about 5.8 years. So limiting that is, of course, partially trying to find the right school. Now, on the financial side, we really try to work in three facets with the family. We work with them, what I like to say, pre-FAFSA, so we work with them prior to filling out their financial aid forms to make sure they're positioned in the right place so that college is affordable and they can receive some aid. And then we actually help them fill out the FAFSA, and then we would work after the FAFSA with them to make sure they're choosing the right school from a financial perspective and also how they're going to pay for it.
I think lots of people think, well, I won't qualify for that, and so I'm not going to fill it out. And you would probably tell me that huge mistake?
That's one of the greatest mistakes that a family will make these days, is really making an assumption that based on the assets they own or the income that they earn, that they wouldn't qualify for anything, so why fill out the FAFSA? In reality, there are several really good reasons to fill out the FAFSA no matter what. First of that being is that you want to be on record with the school with your finances. While your finances may be a little bit too great in today's world to qualify for something, the reality is that things could change on a dime. Someone in the family can lose a job. There unfortunately may be even a death in the family. And you want to be on record with the school to show that loss of income or whatever detrimental situation may have happened, to show that you now could qualify for aid and would want to try to get some additional aid to help out the family because you're in a different position. The other side of filling out the FAFSA is that many families these days, in fact most of the families we work with, are going to require loans. I have 2 kids in school. I will need to borrow for my kids' college education. If you don't fill out the FAFSA, unfortunately, you don't really qualify for getting the government loans that are out there right now. They have the student loan, and they also have the parent loan, which can be a great asset in trying to make sure that families can afford college.
Wow, and it's a lot to think about. When should a family start thinking about college for their kid? When do we start this process?
Well, if it were up to us, it would be right before they conceive their child. That would be the best place for us.
I was fortunate enough that my father went to college, so I knew from day one I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
But and when I finally went to college, I think that was still a shock for me. But seriously, when should we think about that? Realistically,
I think a family should be sitting down and have some serious talks with their student probably when they're a freshman in high school. By sophomore year, you should be doing some research not only on your student but on the schools that are out there. And ideally, they should be visiting these schools in their junior year. Now, from a financial perspective, we work with families to try to position themselves to be in the right financial position to capture some aid. Some of these moves can be complex for some families and do take several years to lay out a plan for them. Many families come to us in their senior year, and not that we can't help them, but we're very limited. Our hands are tied in what we can do with that family to work with them to try to do something last minute.
Right. Well, and I think lots of people, hesitate to get you involved just because they think, well, I can't afford it, or, what are they going to tell me? And the reality is that it's way more complicated than we know. And that would absolutely say, have somebody from your team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, what most people don't realize, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, there are families out there that believe that they make maybe too much money for the situation for college to try to get some aid. In reality, the list price or the sticker price of college is not what many families are going to pay. In fact, very few people pay sticker price. College is a business, and I think families need really to explore what is the right college, and then they can go about going through the financial process to see actually what they would get from the school. As a family, you do not want to make that decision, at least from a financial perspective, where you want to go until you realize what your final price is. And many people are shocked to see how much aid schools are actually giving out.
I think lots of parents think that the only type of scholarship they can get is really athletic, but there's a lot of academic and other scholarships out.
Oh yeah, there are. Probably the biggest one that most families will capture will be an academic-based merit scholarship. So in other words, there are schools that will try to draw in the extremely smart kids. And I don't want to make it sound like this is only for the smart kids. Most students who are just decent students will actually receive some type of academic-based merit from these schools. So another reason for wanting to look at the schools is, even though you may not qualify from a financial perspective for aid, you may as a family receive academic-based merit aid, which significantly can help bring down the cost of college for families.
Well, and lots of times it's the smaller scholarships, whether it be your 2000 to sing in the choir, whether it be, something from Rotary, that all add up to help that family out.
Absolutely, and you hit it on the head actually with even the singing scholarship. There are many families that when they think of the big scholarships, they think of sports scholarships. In reality, most schools do not give out full rides for sports type scholarships. But what many families maybe don't know is that you can actually get a scholarship even in something that's outside your major. As an example, you may have a student who's played an instrument throughout middle school and high school. In college, however, they're not going to be a music major, and they figure, well, I can't get a scholarship for that. The reality is they can try out for the orchestra or the band and get a nice scholarship just to play for the band, even if they're not a music major.
And that adds to that complete college experience, which I think everybody should have. Jim, thanks for stopping by and telling us just a little bit about what you do and making it all possible. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back with more Business Connections. Stay tuned.